So I haven't done a movie review or a movie rant in a real long time. So why the hell am I talking about this thing? One, because I gotta do a video essay about it today. So I don't think I'm gonna use any of this shit for the video essay, because I gotta look presentable and all that crap. But fuck this movie. Fuck Crash. The fact that this won Best Picture in 2004. The fact that this pretentious, simplistic, naive travesty won Best Picture is a disgrace to cinema, social commentary films, and films that deal with race in a meaningful way. Anyone who has studied race, anyone who has taken Afroecology courses, Afroscience courses, anyone who has taken social justice courses. Now you might say, oh Darth, you're just an SJW. You're just an SJW. Well, let me tell you really why I dislike this movie. So when I first saw this, I saw it on my computer. Okay? Why did I watch it on my computer? For conveniences. I thought, oh, I'll watch this on the PC, easy, and I can just rip it if I need it, which I did. I went into this wanting to give it a chance. Wanting to find something meaningful about it. Wanting to find something good about it. Wanting to find a deeper meaning. And I'm rewatching it to see if I can still find it. Because I'm a film buff. I want to be a filmmaker. I love the art of cinema. I love the art of movie making. I am working to be an editor. I am studying to be an editor. People edited this. People went through hours and hours of footage to make this thing. Okay? People had to color correct this thing. Actors read this screenplay. They read the script to this shit and were like, brilliant. Oh my God, we've never seen such a film dealing with race like this. Really? This thing? Do the Right Thing, a movie that came out almost 2 decades before this shit, handled race and culture clashes far better. It handled the concept of systemic racism better. It handled the concept of societal issues, prejudice, racism, bigotry. That we all have our own prejudices, but that isn't the same as institutional racism. And the movie leaves you conflicted, wondering, did someone do the right thing? Because the movies all do the right thing. But I'm not talking about that movie, directed by Spike Lee, who's a genius. I'm talking about Crash, directed by the guy who helped write one of the best Bond movies, Casino Royale. The fact that the guy who made this helped write one of the greatest James Bond movies is insane to me. The fact that the more I think about this movie and I compare it to another movie that I had problems with, Gone with the Wind is better. Gone with the Wind is an epic. Gone with the Wind was groundbreaking. Gone with the Wind had something to say. It said what it had to say was wrong and toxic and problematic. And the story of that movie is historically inaccurate and bullshit. But at least I viewed it as an empathy test. Can I feel bad for Scarlett O'Hara? You know, I felt frustration and I felt shame for my empathy for that character. This movie, I'm struggling who the hell I'm supposed to relate to, who the hell my main character is supposed to be, who the hell I'm supposed to gravitate to, who am I supposed to view as a somewhat decent person. And the conclusions I can come to with this movie are the following. It's trying to say this, it's what I feel it's trying to say. We're all complicated. Ooh, we all have our own cultural divides, our own prejudices, our own different ways of viewing various issues. Ooh, humans are complex. Society is complex and hard, and oh, we're all bigots, we're all prejudiced. Even the characters towards the end, oh, what the fuck? Oh, I got a cramp. I got so pissed off that I got a cramp while recording this damn video. Okay, fuck me. So, from what I've looked at about this movie, you have Matt Dillon's character. Now, one thing I read in this article, which I felt mixed about, was the argument that it tried to lay out was, well, because Matt Dillon's character, who plays a piece of shit cop, is and his character is actually a piece of shit. Okay, he essentially rapes this woman. Terrence Howard's character's wife. Okay, this thing, the way it's portrayed, this guy essentially violates this woman. Okay, and well, look at this poster. Look at it. It's like, ooh, it's cinema. It's art. Oh my god, I hate this pretentious shit. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Okay. So, one thing this movie's trying to present is this. Its main argument for the cause of racism. It's not a systemic issue. It's not something that's deeply rooted in American society. It's not something that, by design, prevents classes of Americans from figuring out that they're all in the same boat and that there's a clear power structure that's holding them back. No. Racism, according to this movie, is not institutional. It's not something that is deeply rooted in American society. No. It's just cultural misunderstandings, individual prejudices. The scene that really... because every character... Oh, this movie's trying to be gritty and realistic. Okay? It's trying to be grounded in reality. So, none of these characters feel real. None of these characters have any depth. Despite the script presenting elements where depth should be. For example, you have Don Cheadle's character, who plays a cop. He has a little brother, who's a criminal. He has a mother, who's a heroin addict. And he's caught between a rock and a hard place, where he has to essentially prosecute this cop who shot a legitimate corrupted cop who was black, and has to put the guy away from shooting this corrupt cop. So, this character is caught between a rock and a hard place. You would think this would be a in-depth, introspective moment. But let's really break down the narrative problems with this. Okay? So from a narrative perspective, because this is an ensemble movie, and because we're jumping around between all of these characters, who are all supposed to randomly, because none of this feels random or incidental, intersect. You have this locksmith who happens to run into a Persian who deals with a hate crime. The Persian's first thought is to get his gun, hunt down the locksmith, and shoot him. Showing, that this guy has his prejudices and blames him. And that Don Cheadle's character's brother interacts with the decent cop in this movie, who's Matt Dunn's former partner. And the decent cop has this. So you have this scene where previously this cop, doesn't want to deal with his partner, Matt Dunn's character, Officer Ryan, whatever the fuck his name is, because he raped this woman. And he's a racist. So, you have an actual decent human being. And he reunites with the husband of the woman who the cop character raped. Now when I say rape, I mean it's like a really invasive it's a really invasive search, like a pat down, like a really invasive one, and it's rape. There's no other way I can say it. It is rape. What happens in that scene. So the decent cop, who did nothing, unfortunately, or try to defuse the situation as much as possible, runs into the husband, who has this whole freaking masculine identity thing, because his wife paraded him, okay? And it's like, none of these characters feel like real people. None of these characters feel like real people. Oh my God, none of these characters feel like real people. I'm having a conniption over this movie. I can't believe I'm having this much of a conniption over this movie, like I am, but I am, because, at first when I watched this, I felt nothing, because at the end of this movie, I was like, what the hell's the point? But then the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I felt angry because I felt this movie was treating the audience like a bunch of freaking morons. It's like the movie, it's like you write this screenplay where every character is essentially a scumbag. Okay, or almost every character. Like 99% of the characters are scumbags in some form or another. Well, let me get back to the Persian guy, because this scene is ridiculous. Like, this movie is it's cheesy. It has these really cheesy moments. And this movie was textbook Oscar bait. It's like I want to look up what other movies came out. So, the Persian guy tries to shoot the locksmith. The locksmith's daughter, gets in front of him, and he shoots, and you think, he just killed this guy's kid because he was angry. And it's all slow-mo, and it's all this, and the daughter's like, your invisible cloak protected me, because the father told the daughter this story about his invisible cloak or whatnot. Okay, by the way, there's no magic in this movie. It's just there's something he told his daughter to help her sleep at night. And the Persian guy's like, oh my God, what did I do? But the daughter lived. And then you find out, because it's not subtle, that the bullets that the guy had were blanks, because the Persian guy's daughter bought the gun and took the bullet and got blank bullets, because she was probably thinking her dad's irrational, which that's another thing. It's another layer for me not to like this movie. But let's get on to the cop, because I want to talk about this cop who has potential to be a decent character or a decent person. So he picks up this guy, right? Okay. And we've established that this cop is a fairly decent dude. Okay. He tries to talk down the husband of the person who his former partner sexually assaulted. So we know this guy's a decent human being. But the movie can't have that. No, the movie can't have a decent cop character. Okay? Now, regardless of my feelings about police as an institution, the way this character is set up, it's set up that he's a decent person, that he has some semblance of morality. But this movie can't have that because this movie wants to be deep and complex. So what does this movie do? So this guy shoots this black guy he picks up, who you see throughout the film. Okay? He shoots him. Something that just feels totally out of character, considering what we have seen. Now you could counter what I'm saying about this scene and say that the movie is trying to show that people are flawed. Well, no shit. People are flawed. But I think everyone has seen enough movies where you know, or you can trace, even the most simple of characters, that they will have flaws. But those flaws are consistent with how we have seen that character. The way this is set up, it's set up with just the slightest the heaviest of handed foreshadowing. So we have Matt Dillon's character, who saves the woman that he sexually assaulted from a car crash. Oh, hence the movie Crash. The title Crash. Because it's an actual car crash. And, you know, the way this is set up, the epic slow-mo, the music, the way the cinematography is, the way it's edited, okay? The wrong character has the big hero moment. The worst character in this movie has the big hero moment because this is supposed to be a scene of introspection or a scene where the audience is meant to question, well, he's not all bad, I guess, because he saved someone's life. Oh, and the person whose life he saved was the woman he sexually assaulted, completely robbing her of whatever agency she had. You want to know what I think would have made this movie a hell of a lot better? You switch the two, okay? You switch the two cop characters. Okay, now I don't know where the... Yeah, okay, the cop character, the red-haired cop character shows up here. Okay, you switch him. You switch him to Matt Dillon's character. Why? Let's look at it narratively. So narratively, you have a character who rightfully should feel guilty, who has a conscience, who hates his partner. The red-haired cop character should be the one to save, I guess, what the hell's her name? Thandie Newton's character. Okay. And she can have the same reaction, the same level of hatred, the same visceral reaction, which would all be understandable, frankly, given what she went through in the film. But the level of emotional weight I think would be a lot more real. Because you could see it as a form of redemption. Most forms of writing in Western media have a redemption arc for characters. Okay? Now, the redemption arc this character could have, because, frankly, the Matt Dillon character deserves no redemption. The Matt Dillon character deserves no sympathy. I don't give a shit if he has a sick father in the film. He is a scumbag, rapist, racist, dirty cop. He doesn't deserve the big hero moment. Oh my god, I'm just thinking from a screenplay aspect, the wrong character got the big hero moment. You know, the more I'm thinking about this movie, the more I'm like, I still can't believe this pretentious crap won Best Picture and was praised like it was in 2004. Now you could say, well, you were a kid in the 2000s. What the hell did you know? I knew, you know what? I know from a film perspective that this didn't deserve to win Best Picture. And I'm not the only one who looks at this movie and goes, in retrospect, why the fuck did this win Best Picture? This is a poorly written, pretentious, narratively inconsistent film. I bet if this movie came out today, it would get such a negative rating and be called out for what it is. It would be called an Oscar bait movie. It would be called a pretentious piece of shit. And it would just be viewed for what it is, which I think is garbage. This is going to be an immature way to phrase it, but Crash is trash. Now, I'm still in the middle of rewatching this movie. But the more I rewatch it, the more I just go, oh yeah, I'm starting to remember why I dislike this more and more and more. I'm starting to find more reasons to dislike it. Now, is it bad technically? No. It's got good sound mixing. It's edited well. It's got good cinematography. The acting, despite the script being hammy. No, actually, you know what? Is this movie bad? Now I gotta wonder if this movie's poorly acted. What Oscars does this win? I mean, thank God this thing was only $4. I mean, you can tell this. I watched so many movies in this specific class. You know what? I'm going to conclude that this movie is badly acted. And I'm going to say why it's badly acted, frankly. I think it's badly acted because because of the root of the problem. The root of the problem is the screenplay. The narrative structure of this movie genuinely feels as though you had this group of colorblind liberals in a room. I mean, it's Hollywood. Of course you're going to have liberals there. Alright? Now, I'm a leftist, by the way, okay? If you want to know my political affiliation, I'm a libertarian socialist. Okay? I want to throw that out there. Just because. I think it's important as to why I'm bashing liberals here. The liberal perspective about when it comes to movies about race, I think will frankly be that racism is rooted in the individual. And it's an individual thing. It's not a systematic thing. Now, because the liberal comes from this conclusion, of course, a screenplay or a movie about race will feel hollow. It will feel poor. It'll feel as though it has nothing to say. I think that's what pissed me off about this movie, because at the end of it, really, I'm like, was this it? This is what this. You know, the fact that I could look at another movie that came out this year, that came out that year, the fact that I can look at a movie like Spider-Man 2, which is supposed to be an over-the-top, over-dramatized, melodrama, superhero epic, has characters that feel more believable, more grounded, that feel like real human beings, in spite of it being a superhero movie. They feel more real. And the characters in Crash. I'm frankly flabbergasted that this movie won Best Picture. That this pretentious, in-your-face film the best way I can describe it is like the story of Icarus. How this, probably what they thought this movie was going to be. They thought this movie was going to probably be the great cultural united, this great introspective, intellectual film. But they flew too close to the sun, and their wings melted, and they fell. I think I should just write my paper or start writing my video essay, because I'm in disbelief, really. I'm in disbelief that this movie got made. And I talked to my film professor, and he was like, oh, I hated this movie too. I hate it. Like, oh my god, it's like, if I wanted to, I could easily also defend this movie, like, from an academia perspective, I guess. But at the same time, I feel this movie is extremely hollow. And I don't want to call it a product of its time. I don't want to call it a product of its time. There are certain areas where I feel that mindset is appropriate to have. However, I think that when you look at Crash and you really think about it from a critical standpoint, then you will come to a similar conclusion that it just doesn't work. And what sucks is this movie should have all the making of a pretty solid film. Maybe if I didn't have the perspective that I do, I might be able to appreciate this movie more. But I feel to do so, I would have to turn my brain off. And for a movie that won Best Picture, you shouldn't have to turn your brain off to appreciate it. That just shows you really how poor this movie is. That I have to be in a similar mindset that I would if I were watching a Michael Bay movie. The mindset I would have to be to appreciate this movie, I would have to be in to watch a Transformers film. And I do not say that lightly, which is insane. It feels genuinely insane to say that. But after watching it, I don't know what other way I can feel. Besides rage. Rage that this movie got the praise it got at the time. But also maybe the movie got the fate it deserved. Because who the hell really talks about this movie anymore? When was the last time someone talked to you about the movie Crash? When was the last time somebody praised Crash as one of the great American pieces of film? When was the last time someone looked at Crash as the peak of American cinema? When was the last time we talked about this movie in a way where we possibly weren't viewing it as a, really? 2004, really? A rant over, I gotta write this paper. Live long and prosper and have a good day.